America's highways have long symbolized freedom, mobility, and opportunity. But beneath the asphalt is a deep divide not just in landscape or legislation, but in how traffic is experienced, managed, and survived across red and blue states. The correlation between political culture and traffic statistics, from fatalities to road rage, from speed limits to bridge collapses, offers a striking window into America's infrastructure and its consequences. In this expansive exploration, we examine the data and patterns shaping our daily drive. Red states versus blue states, a tale of two traffic realities. When it comes to traffic safety, there is a clear divergence in outcomes between red and blue states. The divide is not just political, but structural, cultural, and regulatory. Red states, predominantly more rural, with longer stretches of open road and a strong ethos of individual liberty, often adopt looser safety regulations. In contrast, blue states, with dense urban populations and public safety-oriented policies, lean towards stricter traffic laws and infrastructure oversight. The underlying factor of population density significantly influences these differences. As densely populated blue states often have lower vehicle miles traveled, VMT per capita, and more public transit, contributing to different traffic patterns and safety needs compared to more rural red states. Fatality rates per vehicle mile traveled are often significantly higher in red states. These states typically feature higher posted speed limits, lower seatbelt compliance rates, and more rural road miles, all contributing to a greater risk of death per accident. Red states also experience a disproportionate number of fatal crashes, despite similar overall vehicle miles traveled compared to blue states. But why the difference? Cultural values play a role. In many red states, there is a resistance to government regulation, particularly when it comes to personal responsibility behind the wheel. Speeding is often seen less as a safety violation and more as a personal freedom. Blue states, in contrast, implement aggressive public health campaigns, promote public transit, and invest more in urban traffic calming measures. The role of speed limits, freedom versus fatalities. A key point of divergence lies in speed limit policy. Following the repeal of the national maximum speed law in 1995, states were free to set their own limits. The result? A patchwork system where, for example, Texas posts 85 miles per hour on certain toll roads, while states like Hawaii maintain a top limit of 60 miles per hour. 18 states now permit top speed limits of 75 miles per hour or higher, with 13 of those being politically red. Data from the Insurance Institute for Highway Safety shows that each 5 miles per hour increase in the maximum speed limit corresponds to an approximately 8% rise in deaths on interstates and 3 to 4% on other roads. Higher speeds mean more severe crashes. Energy transfer in a collision increases exponentially with speed, and the likelihood of fatal injury skyrockets. Despite this, some states continue to raise speed limits to satisfy constituents who equate faster travel with efficiency and liberty. Ironically, these states also face some of the highest road fatality rates in the country. It's also important to note that many roads were not initially designed for the higher speeds now legally posted, which can exacerbate safety concerns. Seatbelts, enforcement, and safety culture. Seatbelt use is another divide. Blue states have higher compliance, often due to primary enforcement laws allowing officers to ticket for non-use without any other traffic offense. Red states, particularly in the South and Midwest, are more likely to have secondary enforcement, where officers can only issue a ticket if another violation has occurred. States with primary enforcement see significantly lower fatalities per mile. The cultural narrative around seatbelts also differs. In many red states, especially in rural areas, seatbelts are viewed as unnecessary or even intrusive. Public safety campaigns are less aggressive, and enforcement is often less visible. The economic impact of lower seatbelt use, including higher healthcare costs and insurance premiums, also disproportionately affects states with lower compliance. Moreover, states with strong enforcement of drunk driving laws, distracted driving penalties, and teen driver restrictions tend to report fewer fatal accidents. Blue states are more likely to lead in these legislative areas. Road rage and aggressive driving, a national epidemic with local hotspots. The phenomenon of road rage knows no political boundaries, but its severity and consequences vary widely across the country. Aggressive driving is a major contributing factor in a significant percentage of traffic deaths in the U.S., with incidents ranging from tailgating and rude gestures to intentional ramming and even shootings. While some sources suggest aggressive driving behaviors are implicated in a high proportion of fatal crashes, attributing 2/3 of all traffic deaths solely to it may be an overstatement depending on the definition and data source. It is, however, undeniably a critical and growing issue. Urban centers in both red and blue states are hotspots for road rage. However, red states with less traffic congestion but longer drive times and fewer mass transit options tend to have higher per capita rates of aggressive driving incidents. One chilling trend is the role of firearms in road rage deaths. In states with more permissive gun laws, often red states, road rage fatalities involving firearms are notably higher. The number of deaths caused by gun-related road rage incidents has increased steadily in the past decade. Beyond policy, psychological factors like increased stress, the anonymity of being in a vehicle, and a perceived sense of entitlement can also fuel these dangerous behaviors. Moreover, a significant percentage of drivers admit to retaliatory behavior while driving, including honking aggressively, flashing lights, or brake checking. These behaviors escalate road encounters into potentially lethal incidents. Blue states have begun implementing public education campaigns and in-car camera systems to track and penalize these behaviors more effectively. Infrastructure inequality, bridges, highways, and potholes. America's roads and bridges are aging, and not evenly. Infrastructure investments differ drastically between states, influenced by political will, tax structures, and federal funding priorities. Red states, with vast rural expanses and lower population densities, face higher per-mile maintenance costs, but often spend less per capita on transportation infrastructure. This leads to a proliferation of potholes, crumbling roads, and deteriorating bridges. Several high-profile bridge collapses, including the Fern Hollow Bridge in Pittsburgh and the Key Bridge in Baltimore, have drawn attention to the dangers of underinvestment. While these occurred in blue states, they reflect a national problem. The American Society of Civil Engineers consistently gives the nation's bridges a mediocre grade, with the 2021 report card giving bridges a C and overall infrastructure a C. State and local bonding capacity and tax revenue also play a crucial role, with blue states often having stronger tax bases and a greater willingness to invest in public works. Blue states, particularly those with higher population densities and robust tax bases, have had more success maintaining roads and upgrading bridges. Their challenge is often congestion and overuse rather than neglect. Another factor is climate. Northern blue states face harsh winters, accelerating road wear through freeze-thaw cycles. Southern red states contend with heat-related expansion, floods, and hurricane damage. Infrastructure resilience in the face of climate change is emerging as a critical differentiator. Interstates and federal influence, a national network with local consequences. The Federal Interstate Highway System is perhaps the most ambitious infrastructure project in American history. Designed for defense, commerce, and mobility, it ties the country together. Yet its maintenance and management fall heavily on individual states. Red states, covering more physical miles of interstate, often prioritize road expansion and freight movement over commuter transit. Blue states, in contrast, face pressure to build multimodal networks including bike lanes, subways, and light rail. This divergence reflects broader cultural and economic priorities. Red states rely more on trucking, agriculture, and resource extraction. Blue states are hubs of finance, tech, and services, sectors demanding dense, connected urban infrastructure. Federal funding formulas, historically based on factors including miles of road, have been criticized for disproportionately benefiting states with extensive rural road networks. While red states may receive more total federal highway dollars, blue states often argue that the higher costs of maintaining complex urban infrastructure and their greater federal tax contributions justify a recalibration of these formulas. Correlation or coincidence, piecing the data together. So is there a direct correlation between red versus blue governance and road safety? The answer is complex. Political ideology informs policies on speed limits, enforcement, public safety messaging, infrastructure funding, and even health and insurance standards. While correlation does not equal causation, The consistent patterns strongly suggest a link between political culture, policy choices, and traffic outcomes. Red states, prioritizing freedom and individual responsibility, often take a hands-off approach to traffic regulation. The result is higher fatality rates, more aggressive driving incidents, and deferred infrastructure maintenance. Blue states emphasize collective responsibility and government oversight, resulting in lower fatality rates, stronger enforcement, and better funded infrastructure, but also more congestion, slower travel, and higher taxes. What's clear is that traffic safety and infrastructure are deeply tied to policy choices. The cultural narratives that shape those policies, freedom versus safety, growth versus regulation, carry literal life and death consequences. Moving forward, bridging the divide. To make roads safer and infrastructure stronger, the nation must look beyond political identity. Proven strategies exist, and data-driven policymaking is crucial to move past ideological divides, reducing speed limits and strictly enforcing them, upgrading outdated bridges and roads with federal support, mandating seatbelt use with primary enforcement, combating road rage with smart traffic cameras and stricter penalties, investing in public transit and alternative mobility in both urban and rural areas. Ultimately, improving America's traffic outcomes requires merging the red value of independence with the blue commitment to public welfare. Roads are shared spaces. The laws, maintenance, and mutual respect required to navigate them safely must be shared too. America's roads reflect its values and its divisions. By understanding where we differ and why, we can chart a safer path forward. Whether driving down a high-speed Texas freeway or navigating a congested New York avenue, every motorist deserves a system designed with life, not politics, in mind.